Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by The Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffitt Entertainment. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, no matter where, no matter how, no matter when. That's the great part of the podcast. You can choose to listen to it wherever, whenever you wish. I can choose to record it wherever, whenever I wish. And this happens to be the 138th time we've been doing this. How about that, huh? What do we have in store for you today in terms of Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations? We're going to speak to actor Ruthie Pottratz. She was practically raised on stage. We will hear from her coming up in a few minutes. Then later in the show, actor Macie Lynn, who's going to be playing the part of Rachel Corrie. A real person. What a story it is. She'll give you the details. It's going to be part of Storytellers Anonymous. They'll perform it over at the Corson Mighty Arts Players, the Mighty Corson Arts Players Theater. But it's a Storytellers Anonymous production on Saturday, July 23rd. We'll have all the details coming up for you on that as well. But hey, let's get the party started, huh?
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day, and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near, and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
All right, raise them high to the immense amount of talent we have in the Sioux Empire. And tonight, those that perform on stage in Sioux Falls are going to be rewarded. It's the annual Sioux Falls Stage Awards getting underway at 6 o'clock tonight at the Washington Pavilion. Oh my, can't wait to find out who the winners are in terms of actors, actresses, in terms of the best play, the best musical, the best director, and they also, the nominees for the big categories and so forth know who they are, but there's also going to be 5 people that will end up being very surprised, as I was the first year where they announce special dedication awards. So everybody that's headed out to there, well, raise them high to all those that end up getting a Sioux Falls Stage Award. And for all those that are nominated, I tell you, it's tough to figure out who's going to win because there have been such an incredible amount of phenomenal performances over the past year. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. People are talking about how great it is using Ale Hop. On their Facebook page, you're going to find Tina saying, super fun and convenient. You can go out, have a good time with friends, and not have to worry about driving home. Best of all, it supports our locals. No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls is your fave, Ale Hop Brewery Tours lets you, your friends, choose any or all of those local breweries, plus a distillery is on tap. Well, actually, the beer's on tap, distillers. You get the picture, huh? Book your private tours online at alehopbrewerytours.com. Now, if you're already out and about on a weekend, hop on a public tour. For more info, call 605-777-2183. That is 605-777-2183. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews. Honorable mention. Oh, I always like to bring up honorable mention for something that made me smile, laugh, giggle, guffaw, slap my knee silly, and sometimes even shed a tear of joy. Well, what it's bringing me joy this time around is a group of ladies and they've expanded now. But if you recall, back in February or March, we had the two ladies from Circa perform, Kaylee Matthew and Katie Herman. If you've been paying attention to social media and following them at all, you know that they should be adding the words "a lot" after Circa perform. Circa perform a lot. They have been incredibly busy. So happy to see a young group start off, find their passion, work at it, market it, and get themselves out there for shows. And I tell you, that's really, it's one of my favorite things when you go see a circus, are all these aerial type acts and so forth. And they do a fantastic job at it. You should see them sometime. So congratulations. The honorable mention this week to Circa Perform, or as I'm going to rename them, Circa Perform a Lot. They have been incredibly busy, as have a couple of actors in this area. We will hear later in the show from Macie Lynn, who will be performing My Name is Rachel Corrie, and then someone that's got a little time off now after some camps and many productions. Ruthie Pottratz is coming up next on the Dave Holly Hour.
Hi, my name is Jesse Moffett, and I'm not a piano player. I'm a comic magician and hypnotist. I've been performing for over 20 years. I've performed at many events, corporate events, holiday parties, post-prom parties, graduation parties, state and county fairs, festivals, just about anything you can imagine. The funniest thing about the Magic Act is that I use a ton of audience participation, and that can make things really interesting. Put it down the front of your shirt. Stop being so, my hand won't follow. The best thing about the hypnosis show is that the volunteers and their imaginations really make it a blast.
Holy crap, dude, did you see what you just did? You could do that possibly to girls.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffett Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
It's the podcast that creatives in the Sioux Empire listen to learn more about other creatives. It's the Dave Holly Hour.
Oh, thank you so much, Jamie Tucker. She's a great comedian, by the way. She's wonderful, and she's been on the show many times. My wife refers to her as the holiday girl. You know those Monday holidays?
Yep.
Where, some places are closed, and so you might have to record at home, something along that line. Well, Jamie's typically available on a Monday holiday.
There you go.
So she gets lots of airtime for that. But in the meantime, we're going to find out more. Okay, I got to start it off as per usual. It's always a pleasure to talk to the Sioux Empire creatives, actors, actresses, comics, you name it. We talk and we have fun learning about the people that are involved. And that's what we're going to do today. And it's always a pleasure to have a new guest on. Ruthie Pottratz, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am very well. And it's so great to have you along. And here you are in your Old Town t-shirt.
I am. This was the cleanest one I had. So.
Yeah, because they've been doing some revamping down there the past couple of days, right?
Yes. There's been a lot of work on getting a lot of things cleaned up, kind of just giving the whole building and everything a facelift.
Yeah.
A good paint job, fresh coat everything, a little reorganizing in the background, make sure all of our stuff's in the right spot.
That's always fun. But boy, it's been a busy year for you.
Yes.
And you just said to me before we started that you're kind of taking a break right now.
Yes. Well, and like most theaters that have that kind of season, fall to spring, just like a school year. We one of the things we have during the summer is our children's camp, and we just finished that up about a week or two ago, and that was a lot of fun. So I have a little bit of break. I've got some vacation time coming up. So
anything planned for
right.
vacation?
I have a family reunion out in the Black Hills, and we do that about every other year. We did miss the year of COVID, so this will be the first in quite a while.
A lot of people missed a lot of things because of COVID.
My youngest son has never been because he missed the year he would have gone first, so this will be fun for him, hopefully.
Excellent. That sounds like a great time, and I hope you enjoy the respite from everything, because like I said, it's been busy. Take us through the Ruthie Pottratz resume.
Well, this is back when I was about 4 years old.
Yeah, well, let's start there. What got you into theater and acting?
What got me into the theater was my mom and dad met actually when it used to be called the Sioux Falls Playhouse.
Right.
I actually have an old sweatshirt that still has the logo on it from my mom. Don't tell her I took it. But no, they met on stage. My mom was a performer. My dad was running lights for a show. It was actually the musical called Scrooge. She played Isabel, which is the girlfriend from Scrooge's past, who he dumps for money because he becomes Ebenezer. And, Dad thought she was very pretty looking and everything. In the very next show, he apparently followed her around and asked her a lot of questions, but annoyed her a lot. But, he asked her out on a date, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So you're a theater baby.
Yes, I grew up around theater. Mom and Dad were very good. They take turns, especially when kids came along. You do one show, I'll stay with kids, and we'll flip-flop the shows unless there's something they really wanted to do that they'd sometimes do together. I have memories of being in the green room while Mom and Dad are on stage.
Right.
And I also remembered sneaking out during intermission and talking to the concession stand ladies because they'd give me free candy. So, but I remember, and it's one of those things, the Orpheum, it looks the same, but it doesn't. But I remember growing up in that theater and seeing my mom and dad on stage. And there's also, I love theater, but I also think there's a part of my brain that's this is just what adults do. This is what you do when you're an adult.
So what was your first experience on stage then?
My first real experience was I did Annie auditions for the theater way back when. I think it was about 7 years old. But then the first real one was Nutcracker, was our dance studio that I was part of as a kid. Worked with the Orpheum, and we did Nutcracker. I think I was a mouse for the very beginning of the show. I was 5 years old. So I was, mouse number 18 or something.
Small parts. Small parts.
Right. So yeah, and that was my first. And then I did things from that. We did live in Minnesota for a while, where I feel like I got a lot of training just from growing up in that kind of theater community. I went to workshops downtown where I worked with really cool people that did stuff for Broadway, and I learned all sorts of weird niche. I remember taking a stage combat class. I remember taking an improv class, and doing a lot of stuff. So yeah, I was a little lion cub in Lion King. I was the children's chorus in Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. I just got involved with it.
So you had a human role.
Yes. Finally, I was a human. But yeah, and so I got to do a lot of fun things. And I just grew up with it, and I've always loved it. And that's always just something I've really liked doing. And it's just fun for me. And yeah, did it in middle school, high school, went to college. I originally had a different major when I went to college because I was I'll do something quote unquote real, something you can do. And I was first semester was cool. I was all right, I got the hang of college. I'll try out for a show now. And it was literally, I think I was cast as woman number 4 in a show, which again, no small parts, but again, getting back into it, they don't know who I am. But it was one of those, even that woman number 4, the second day of rehearsal, I was I need to change my major. I need to do a theater major because I loved it. This is what I wanted to do. And so the rest is history.
All right. So where'd you do your undergrad?
SDSU.
Okay.
And so yeah, I worked with J.D. Ackman and Reed Peterson, and it was a lot of fun shows out there. It was funny because I just done Cabaret, and when we had done Pippin, I was a chorus member, and Pierce Humke was the narrator, and so we were doing auditions for Cabaret, and I saw him there, and he was going for the narrator, and I was I feel like I've done this before. It's a little deja vu.
All right, so that's one of the latest productions that you've been in. How was that for you? Because I'll tell you this as a little subtext to it. I have seen Cabaret at Premier Playhouse and back when it was Sect.
Oh, yeah.
About a 20-some year difference, I believe. And, the first time that it was there, it was a great production. And it's, always a fun musical, and you kind of go out of there singing Life as a Cabaret. Didn't have that feeling this time because this was so intense in terms of what the storyline was about.
Yes.
How did it feel to you being on stage in that?
It felt good because, and Oliver Mays was a great director, and obviously he's back at Playhouse in a more permanent role now. But it was fun. I like kids. I like doing the kids camps. I like doing family shows. But there's always something nice when it's an adult show. And sometimes it's just a little oh, we can swear. But it was nice that because sometimes in South Dakota, sometimes you have shows where our base of audience isn't always the most
accepting,
of certain ideas. And so that sometimes you can get pulled back. Like you're doing a scene and you do make a choice as an actor, and the director's like, well, let's pull it back. We don't want to like, make our audience a little concerned or anything. But Oliver was like, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Let's have the scantily clad. Let's push the emotions. Let's push the relationships that should be there. Let's talk about the hard topics. Let's reference those hard and rough things. And it was kind of liberating in a way as an actor, just to be like, I can make these choices. We can say these things. We can do these things. And it was funny because I almost did an audition for the show. It was literally the night before auditions. I was still on the fence, but I saw an open slot on the audition and I was like, oh, I'll just sign up. That's fine. Let's do it. But I'm so glad
at least
I
take
did.
the experience of auditioning again.
Right. And I'm so glad I did because it was so fun. Everyone was in the show was great to work with, and they did a great job too, because it's a hard show. There's topics, for those who don't know, there's drug, there's LGBTQ, I said that wrong, LGBTQ relationships in there, as well as there's even a brief moment talking about abortion. And then again, if you don't know Cabaret, at the very end they talk about Nazis and those camps and stuff, and so it can get very dark and very meaningful and big. And it was nice to be able to kind of express that. Everyone in the cast was great with it. They brought in different coaches to help us get comfortable with the whole aspects of everything, and so it was very freeing, great, and it was overall a great experience. And it was also just a lot of fun. A lot of the people were just fun to talk to too. So.
Right. And how about the rest of the theater family? Because you've been down at Old Town helping with camps. You've been on the Old Town stage. Is it easier to say where you haven't played?
Probably. I haven't played at Corson, but I know Brian, and I've gone to a lot of those shows.
I'm seeing Brian tomorrow night.
Oh, excellent. But I've seen some of the show, a lot of the different shows around, at least one of them here and there. But Old Town has been great. I'm on the board member there, and we're doing. It's funny because Corson's doing their 40th anniversary and we're doing the same.
Exactly.
So we're kind of gearing up for that. We're doing fan favorites as our season because we were picking different shows. We were wondering, let's just lean into it. Let's just do fan favorites, shows that, wouldn't it be great if we did this again? So it was 40th anniversary. Let's do it. This is the excuse to do those things. So we're doing and then there were none, the movie game, Two Across, and Leading Ladies. And I'm not saying that in the right order. But so some of the ones that have been the biggest hits, they're funny. They're a lot of fun to go see. This season's going to be just a fun season. We're really excited about it.
And, they are known for doing some lighthearted stuff and some great British farces.
Yes.
What has been your favorite to be involved in there?
Oh, it was definitely Boeing. It was the last one I did. It was, first of all, a super fun cast. The only person I didn't know going into it, her name was Mar, and she was our...
who is now going to be my downstairs neighbor.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, yeah, she is great. And I didn't know her, but thank God I do now because she was so funny. And we had Mike Richards, Devin, and Emily and Jessica, and a small cast, but I knew everyone except Mar, but she was quickly in the family. Oh yeah, you're one of our people. But it was fun because you get to be ridiculous. And there's something fun about that stage physical comedy of jumping over a couch or it's one of those farces have a lot of those door comedies where someone's opening a door, someone's closing it. So sometimes it's hard to work out the dynamics, but once you get the timing right, it's just fun. It feels good.
That's the thing that I'm always impressed by when I see a British farce is the blocking that it takes to get every character in the right spot. And not just the timing of that, but then the timing of the lines at the same time.
Yes.
There's a lot to it.
Yes. I mean, it's one of those, to take the curtain of magic of stage, because you can look backstage. Okay, is that you see the light coming in from when their door opens and closes, so you can open your door, and you listen a lot for when they say, I get to the point where I get so into it, okay, when they say this syllable of this word, that's when I start to turn the doorknob and open. And so it's one of those, when the timing works, it works, and it's fun. There's definitely... What's nice working with the Worthing stage, especially with Old Town, is because that stage is ours in the sense of we can start with the set right away.
True.
The set's literally being built around this every day. We'll come back we have a couch. Oh, we have this window or, whatever. And it's nice to be able to work with that space right away.
Rehearsal goes so much smoother then, doesn't it?
You already know this is where the door will be. And it's just a matter of, okay, which way is it swinging? Or, is it a slide door? Is it a swing door? And, after that, it's pretty easy.
What have you learned from your parents, first of all, being in theater, that makes you a better actor?
Oh, that is a great question.
I get in one per interview typically.
Yes. Well, one thing I've learned, especially with my parents, is sometimes it's the people around you as well. Like, they have a lot of people that they know. When I started coming back to after college and I came down, I worked with a lot of, when it was called Sect rather than Premier Playhouse, was the amount of people I'd audition for things. And they'd be like, "Are you Bob and Mary's daughter?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's me." And so, but just like that connection of people, like, you know, making the friends. And the other thing was, because my mom does a lot more of that singing vocal work, my dad is more of that acting side, is especially like my dad too, was to just try. You don't know until you try. Like, there might be a show you audition for and you don't get in, but hey, at least you auditioned. At least you tried. At least you got to see people. The director saw your face. You got to see other actors and see what they did with that little read scene that they did. And sometimes it's just, I'm part of theater is to like the imitation of life. You are a person, you're a character, and like that humanity to it. Like, to always just try. You never know. Just try.
What type of character do you enjoy playing the most?
I really like, I do like the physical comedy and funny characters. One of my favorites was, and this is a perfect of no small roles, was way back when we did Beauty and the Beast during COVID. I loved being Babette. I think I had like a total of 8 lines, but I loved her character so much because she was first of all, she's that physical embodiment of like the feather duster, so you have to move in a certain way as you walk in your costume. But she was just funny, and like her interactions with Lumiere, and like what's fun too is the idea of trying things. There was a thing I did with my face one night just during dress rehearsal that I didn't think was that funny, but I did it and everyone laughed. And I was like, oh,
going with it.
I guess I'm humorous. But yeah, and so it was great. And I kind of almost like those smaller roles. Everyone's, you know, it's always great. Oh, I'm the lead in the show, but there's something fun about the small roles that you get to play with.
They can be
like,
show stealers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's something fun, about that. And like, she got to have a fun accent. You got to say your lines. You can be that little bit of over the top. You don't have to be like what's real. You can just be silly. And that's kind of fun.
What's the role you would love to play?
Well, one of my favorites is Chicago, and I think it's honestly a toss-up between either Velma Kelly or Roxy Hart, because both, I think it just depends on the day and which one I like more. The other one, and it's one of those musicals I don't know if could do it at Premier Playhouse, but I'd be heavily interested, would be Legally Blonde. I would love to be Elle Woods. I love the idea, you know, and it's silly in the sense of, oh, you're a blonde girl going to law school, but I love that idea of like, you know, she can be pretty and she can be smart. She can like the color pink and do well at her job. Or, you know, and that whole struggle, but it's also,
and then really bring it on throughout the story,
right?
Too. Yeah.
But and again, that's also just a fun musical. Like, you know, if you've never seen it, there's a random river dance in the middle because they talk about Irish briefly, and like it's also just a fun one. So, yeah.
All right. So, how do you approach a role when you get cast? And let's say it's not the role that you were hoping to get.
Okay.
What do you like to do? What do you like to think of? What gets you prepared for that?
Well, it's kind of the quintessential things, you know, anyone who's taking any kind of acting class or even like in high school where they talk about like, you know, your motivation for your character, but like it's a true thing. Like it helps if you think about it, even if it's not too detailed. Just like, okay, like why are they here? So in the case of, so we'll just take Boing Boing, for example. It's a farce, so it's funny. They don't need a whole lot of backstories, but it's nice to know. With something like, okay, why is she doing what she's doing? And if you don't know the twist of Boing Boing, because Boing Boing's a bad guy. He's got 3 lady fiancés that all end up in the same town at the same time. The twist at the end is I'm the flight attendant who also has 3 fiancés. And so like, okay, like what's she doing? Is she just looking for a good husband who will like, you know, help pin it down as like, oh, he's reliable. He's got a good income. I can do my work with him. And so like coming from like, you know, is she seductive in a way that's more conniving, or is she just flirty? Like, you know, that kind of nuance to it. And so figuring out like what it is. And part of it too, we had to adjust it a little bit. Originally it calls for a New York accident. Me and John were talking, John, the director, John Bill. Or like, I was like, I can't reliably do a New York. And like, just because it's a farce and it's gotta be fast. And like, maybe you have to flub a line because someone accidentally said something out of order, and like it happens. Farces are fast paced, they're funny, so like you need to have that reliable something your voice can fall back into, is like I can come up with a line, I can save a line, I can combine 2 lines if I have to without having to worry about it. Because when I do accent work, I really digest it in my head. And so I was like, Southern I've done, I can do it. Okay, so she's a Southern belle, Like, I figured that out for her character, where, like, maybe she's laying on the Southern accent a little too much. She's being too charming. She's being like, well, hi, honey. You know, just very much, like, over the top. And it helps. It seems silly, especially, like, when you're a chorus. I've been there as a chorus where you're like, I don't need motivation. I'm just here to dance in the background. But, like, the idea of, like, okay, but why are you there? It helps a lot more than you think it would, as long as you take it seriously and you think about it. So, yeah, a lot of times I'll just try to be like, more, and sometimes it doesn't have to be so deep. Sometimes it's like, okay, what were they doing 1 week before the show starts? Like, what would they likely be doing? Would they just be doing their job? Would they be doing something else? Just figuring out those questions.
Tell me who you like to look up to. Obviously, your parents, and you're kind of born and bred right into being an actor. But when it comes to big time stars and so forth, who do you look at and say, boy, you know, because obviously none of us want to mimic somebody.
Right.
You got to be your own self when you're on stage. But who are the people that have certain traits that you go, you know, I can employ that?
For me, I always like looking at comedic actors. I love Robin Williams, and I still do. I'm always so sad that he's gone. Exactly. And just the kind of idea of him just going for it, him just trying voices, whatever occurred to him, he would just do it. And sometimes it works, but like most of the time it's funny. The other one, in terms of more of a serious side effect, is I always like Bernadette Peters. I grew up watching that recording of the Broadway Into the Woods, and I really liked it. And anytime I would see her in anything else, even if it was just a one-off role or she was in something else, I saw her, I think, in Gypsy, and like I've always loved the amount that she can bring to a role where like she is good at being that character. And even Into the Woods, because in Into the Woods she's the old witch, and then in the second act she's the beautiful witch. Like, just a dynamic, and like, I don't know, I see it, for me it's her face. Like, you can take her seriously, and I don't know, she's always very impressive to me.
Yeah, so some great people that you mentioned there, no doubt about that. So when it comes to auditions, do you have a story of any audition that you went in thinking, oh, I got this, and you came out going, oh, no, I blew it, I botched it, and then all of a sudden you get the phone call, hey, you're playing such and such?
Kind of. Cabaret was close in the sense of I thought I did really good at my audition, and I managed to get a callback for Sally Bowles, which is the lead, and then her name is Cost. She is one of the secondary characters. She has a couple songs. She's the, like, I think like the next door neighbor, technically, of the main man, which all of a sudden I've forgotten all the names for. This was just a few months ago. So that was exciting, and I was like, cool. And I did feel good at my audition. I was like, yeah, I did it. And the callbacks happened, and I feel like I just completely dropped it. And like, you know, part of it's those little things. I remember singing the song, and I couldn't turn my page fast enough, so I didn't know what the words were. And like you can do that where you can get into your head where you're like, why am I here? But that was still good. Like, I came back, they had me as chorus as well as some dance captain stuff, because occasionally our choreographer, she had some other commitments. So like there's one night a week where she couldn't be there, so I'd help like rerun a number or just like polish things up. And so that was probably a perfect example where initially my audition was great. I sang my song, I hit all the notes I wanted to hit and said the things I wanted to say. I made them laugh at one point, and that's always a good feeling, like, I'm funny. But then callbacks was just I was so nervous, and I was just like, this is going horribly, and like, again, in your own head. But then like, saw the list, I got in, they had me as dance captain. I was like, all right, like, we can do this.
What do you think of theater in the Sioux Empire right now? Because in terms of you've obviously grown up in it, been around, so forth. I grew up down in Rock Rapids, so I know all about everything at Sioux Falls. But really, it's been the last 25 years of living here that made me pay attention to how incredible things are around here in terms of the talent base that we have. But what type of would you give it a grade? Like an A through a D, and where would you place that, or a 1 through 10 scale or something? I
mean, I'm definitely gonna be biased and say somewhere around a B or an A. Part of it is just because, especially nowadays, is the variety. The amount of theater companies that are out there and that I've heard of, like, to the point of, like, I feel like there's no excuse. Like, it feels like there's nothing theater that I can go see. Like, yes, there is. Like, even just from Corson and around, even if you want to venture up into the colleges, like even SDSU and Brookings, or down to USD and Vermilion, like, there is so many opportunities. And, like, again, South Dakota, there is so much talent. We're a smaller state. We're a bit more rural, but like, especially in Sioux Falls, the amount of talent that we have, that I think is always shocking. And like, it's one of those things, I did camps for Sect, now Premier Playhouse, for years, and I always remember even just being shocked at the kids' talent, and like you definitely even have those kids that are, I'm just here because my mom and dad signed me up, but like by the end of camp, even those kids are like, this is fun, and like they're growing, and like things that they do. And most recently with our Lion King Jr. at Old Town, we it's Lion King, so it's just like the Disney movie. We had the hyenas come in and talk to Scar, and one of the hyenas just wasn't there. But the other hyena just did all the lines. And like, we didn't teach him that. He just did it. This 12, 13-year-old kid, he just was like, he got it. And like, this is awesome. This is one of the kids.
Automatic understudy.
Yeah. And it was just like, I didn't even teach him that. Like, good job, man. But like, yeah, this in Sioux Falls, even from kids to adults, from big productions to little ones. It's like the Shakespeare in the Parks that they have for Falls Park. Like, there's
Monstrous Little Theater.
Yeah, it's great. Mainly just because of options. Like, do you want to see a big show, like Grease that the premiere pay, the big show that you want, or do you want that like one-on-one? Like Corson's doing a one-woman show, I believe, next weekend or 2 weekends from now.
In fact, Macie's going to be on next after you.
Yeah, and so like, there's so much variety, and all of it is good, and like all of it is, I always feel worthwhile to see. All of it is a story worth listening to.
And so many different places now. You mentioned Bear Bodkins, because they get the park, but, Monstrous Little Theaters performed in a brewery, the back of a brewery. They performed at the book co-op. Yeah. And so the venues are coming about, and there's just so much to take in the arts and entertainment world here.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So as we come to our end of our time together, there's 2 questions. Quite often, question number 1 gets answered, and I don't need question number 2. But let's start off with, when you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Ooh, well, I'm a big fan of movies, especially nowadays. Like, a lot of things are streaming available, which is helpful for me, because sometimes I don't like putting on real pants. I like my pajama pants. So yeah, movies is one. What I do, because I do like creativity, is I do a lot of sewing and quilting stuff. And then recently I'm helping out Simply Ever After Entertainment for their princess in cosplay. I'm helping out as one of their handlers, so that's fun. Like, for entertainment, honestly, a lot of things too is I just go out with friends. Like, we'll do karaoke. Yeah. We'll just hang out. We'll chat.
Oh, welcome to the karaoke club.
Yes.
What you go to?
We go to Chasers. We go to the Rush.
Yeah.
We used to go to the Nickel Spot a long time ago, but I don't know if people do that anymore. But those are the 2 main ones.
Yeah. What's your go-to song?
It depends. Sometimes I do a little crowd judging. If they're big country people, I'll do something from Miranda Lambert. Or if I am out with theater people, I'll pull out, like I said, Chicago, all that jazz. It's one of my jams.
Any other hobbies?
I do some quilting. So yeah, I like the sewing. I make, my kids just say, make blankets. But yeah, that's fun. And I'll do like little things. I like working with scraps. It's the whole idea of you have those little pieces and you make a big piece, which is always one of my favorite parts about theater too, is you have all these individual, you have chorus, directors, techies on the side, and they all make a big picture together. All
right. Wonderful. Well, Ruthie Pottratz, what a pleasure to have you on the show, and also just getting to know you a little bit more. Yeah. You are wonderful on stage, and I just hope that everybody that hasn't seen you gets a chance to see you once you're off your break and the summer retreat and so forth.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. We'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment, 605-334-1463. Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corrie Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
arts and entertainment lovers, you hit the mark. It's the Dave Holly Hour.
Oh, thank you so much, Jamie Tucker. You do a marvelous job on those, I might say. And, well, pretty good comic, too. Oh, that's right, because you're going to be headed out to the West Coast and doing all sorts of shows with Prairie Madness. That's wonderful stuff that that whole group has going on. And it's also wonderful stuff what's going on at the Corson Theater. Not Corson Mighty Arts Players this time, though. It's part of Storytellers Anonymous. It's going to be their third one-person show. Earlier in the spring, back-to-back nights of one-man shows. And now one woman, and that woman is Macie Lynn, playing Rachel Corrie. How are you?
Right. I'm doing wonderfully. How are you?
If I were any better, I'd be twins.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, get twice as much stuff, pay twice as many bills. Yeah. Get in twice as much trouble, probably.
That doesn't sound so bad.
No, not necessarily. All right. And you know what? Now, Brian Shipper is listening.
Yeah.
Yes, he's hanging off on the sides.
He's
here.
sting over here like a stage mom.
Drinking a beer. Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I'm going to keep looking over at him. I'm like, yeah, I did it.
Did I say it right? Come on. You're my director. You're my boss.
He's so scary.
So Rachel Corrie is a real
She
person.
was.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's kind of a two-part story in many ways, in terms of what she was thinking, then what she goes through and so forth. Mm-hmm. Give us the biography portion of this, and then we'll get into why it's going to be such a great performance to take in and so forth.
Yeah. So Rachel Corrie was born April 10th, 1979 in Olympia, Washington. I have that completely memorized, which is good. And she ended up getting into activism in college, and she took an interest in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict over in the Middle East, and she ended up joining a Palestinian-led peace movement there. International Solidarity Movement, I believe, is the group. And they just participated in a lot of nonviolent, peaceful protests that included kind of living with Palestinian families to kind of discourage the Israeli government from demolishing their homes, because that's kind of what they were in the process of doing at the time. So in 2003 is when this happened, and she was out there. And March 16th, I want to say, March 16th, 2003, she stood between a house and an IDF bulldozer. I think like she'd probably done plenty of times. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the bulldozer didn't stop this time. Oh. And so she was struck and killed. She was 22 years old.
Wow. Mm-hmm. A lot to accomplish in a short time frame then, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And the passion that you could read in her words. The great thing about this script too is that everything is her writing. Mm-hmm. So the different idiosyncrasies in her speech and her thoughts, that's all her. And I think that's an extra special way to make that connection versus somebody like trying to read her mind and write a script about it.
Now, you said in her own words and so forth, was it from journaling? Was it diaries and so forth? Or where did it come from?
So she was a pretty avid, pretty prolific writer. Lots of diaries, she wrote poetry. And then there are a few excerpts in there that are like email correspondence and just reports that she was making as she was there, kind of jotting down what she saw. So just a lot of, I think she wanted to be a writer, really. That was one of her kind of big aspirations.
So now you get into her brain then, instead of talking about what's already written by her to be her own words. What did you take from the words as you were preparing the script?
That's a good question.
I get in one per conversation.
Everybody gets one.
Yes.
Well, reading it through the first time, my first reaction was, I think Rachel and I would have been friends. She seemed like a really cool, interesting person that was a little quirky at times, but she was authentic and she was genuine and she held fast to her convictions. And I think that's a really admirable trait. And in doing other research about her and even like hearing from her parents, like, sure, she had insecurities and yeah, she could get nervous and awkward, but I feel like she owned it. And that's something I try to do all the time, is just own whatever awkward thing I say or do. But I think the passion there is something that's can be taken away from her experience. And just that she kind of talks about it towards the end of the show, and she's got this optimism she believes in the goodness of human nature. She wants to believe that fundamentally humans are good, even though sometimes they can be really awful to each other, and that's still happening. And so I think that makes her message kind of timeless. But I also think it's a good outlook to try and have, because I think ultimately that same conviction is still what ultimately led to her making the decision she did and giving her life for what she believed in.
So you go through the script, and then after that, you start researching and so forth and start planning this role. Were there a lot of articles about her as well? Obviously, you know, something like that where somebody stands in front of a bulldozer and loses their life.
Yeah.
There's going to be press about it, especially on an international level in the way it was.
Yes. And it's kind of unfortunate when you read the kind of reports that came out right after her death, because in the United States, she was seen as a traitor, like not a patriot, because she died for this is hard because it was coming right off of 9/11. And so there was some pretty significant Islamophobia coming out of it as well. And so I think just knowing that she was supporting Muslim families, just trying to live their lives like the rest of us are, it was not received well. And I think versus in Palestine, I think there was a quote or something that it's like when her parents went over there following her death, just they wanted to see where she was and where she lived and what she experienced there. One of the families she stayed with is like, she was your daughter, but she's Palestine's daughter too. So there she's a martyr. She's a hero. And I think in the 20 years since, and what this script I think does is humanize her in a way where it's like she's not a villain. She might not necessarily be the martyr that maybe Palestine thinks she was a person. She was a person who had a big heart, and it led her where it led her. But there is a pretty interesting documentary called The Death of an Idealist, and it's on YouTube, and it's like 40 minutes long, and it is following her parents as they go to Palestine and meet the families that she lived with. And it was really interesting and gave me good insight into who she was and who her family was.
So you mentioned that when it came to getting a feeling that, she had awkwardness and things along that, anxiety and so forth, that she owned it. And you said that, you'd like to think of yourself as owning things like that too.
Yes.
But one of the other things that you did bring up was the fact that she held to her convictions. Does Macie Lynn hold to her convictions?
I certainly try to.
When you read through this and got that feeling, did you realize that you would be able to do that because you hold strong to your own? Or did it make your own even stronger?
I don't know if I'm as brave as she is. I do know. Sorry, I'm trying to.
It's a great thing about a podcast.
We can edit stuff out.
No, we won't even edit that. We'll just let it go.
Oh, no.
It's natural. People want to know you.
See, this is the awkwardness I'm talking about.
Own it.
Yeah, I'm owning it. I wouldn't say I'm always as vocal as I would like to be. It is inspiring to see how far she took it. And I think sometimes, even though my personal beliefs are held pretty firm, I don't know if I'm always as vocal or active about it as I could or should be. Sometimes I don't feel it's always the voice, like my voice is not one that needs to be heard in certain arguments. But I don't know. It's inspiring to know that she went that far. I don't think I'm brave enough to put myself in front of a bulldozer. But I think it helps. It's giving me less anxiety to just say what I believe and not try to necessarily play nice all the time.
I know that you've obviously rehearsed for quite a time. How have those rehearsals gone?
I think they've been going pretty well. Brian?
Well, he gave us a thumbs up. Well, and I was going to say, I led into that to get your perspective on it. Yeah. Because after speaking with both him and Ryan, they both have said that you, compared to which already were two incredible one-man performances, they've said that you're ahead of where they were at that time. Getting ready for this, and that's pretty high praise.
Yeah, because both of those shows were excellent. I have been pretty amazed at myself. I would not have thought that I was capable of memorizing as many words as I've memorized, and just memorizing the blocking and getting that characterization down. It's what I've always done, but like 10 times as much as normal.
Is it strange not listening for audio cues of other actors, but then you've got the tenfold, as you said, in terms of the dialogue that you have?
Yeah. So weirdly, no, and I know there's a lot of actors that will like record themselves saying the other people's lines and then like respond to it and listen to it. That's never been my process. My process is always just to be like, memorize my lines, and then I just know when to stick them in. It's a weird way my brain is wired. So I think this has been a good avenue for me to I just memorize all of it, and I don't have to worry if someone's going to drop a line. Just me. It's just me if I'm going to drop a line, and nobody has to deal with it but me. So that is a blessing and a curse, I think. But I'm proud of myself for going beyond what I thought I was capable of. So that's been a cool experience. I will say, and I've said this a couple times, I am not used to having 100% of the director's attention. I can't get away with anything. And it's usually you get the breaks and there's other people that you're trying to coordinate. And so you don't always feel the eyes and the pressure, but it's just me all the time and all the choices I have to be accountable for. So I'm not used to that, but it's been fun.
Most challenging role you've ever taken on?
Probably. Just because she was a real person, and there's a pressure with that, because, and I've said it, what I hope doesn't necessarily happen is that it sounds like it's just Macie telling a story. I want to convey that this is a different character, that this is Rachel Corrie. And that means you have to be a little more grounded because there's more humanity in somebody like a Rita Malone or a Nell Dupuis. But you still need enough characterization there to separate the actor from the character. So that has been challenging. And then it's been challenging because I feel like so much of acting, they always say acting is reacting.
Yeah.
So without the other characters to kind of inform how this person should be reacting to things, you have to generate that all internally. And so it's a whole inner monologue while you're trying to get out this actual monologue that people are listening to. So in that way, yes, it has definitely been more challenging because there's no other energy to feed off of except your own.
What was the toughest emotion for you to bring out?
Ooh. That's a good one.
It's 2.
That's so good. I think just when she talks about how horrifying some of the stuff she sees is, it's hard because I've not been in a war zone. Like, yes, I've been through some tough things personally, but I've never
the things you've had to witness and so forth.
Yes. And so when she's talking about it, I just hope that there is some authenticity there and that I'm not just pulling that out of nowhere. I just want that to be believable. Because I even in my mind's eye, as I'm saying these lines, I'm trying to imagine what she must have seen. But sometimes it still feels so far away. But that would probably be the hardest one.
What do you hope the audience gets out of this?
I hope that when they get a perspective, just one person's perspective, obviously it's not the whole situation, but just a perspective that maybe a lot of people don't see. And I think one of the bigger themes of this script and the way it was put together is she was a young woman who was just trying to figure out what kind of mark she would make on the world and just where she belonged and what she was supposed to do and what her purpose was. And I think a lot of us go through that at every age, not just 22. I'm almost 30 and I have the same thoughts. And just how willing you are and what you will do, what measures you will go to leave a mark. And luckily in her case, that mark was to just be kind and just understand everyone's humanity. And that's a mark I want to make, is just being kind. So I want people to just see her as this person that is just trying to figure out what she wants to be. And hopefully she was happy. I think she should be proud of herself.
All right, so you've had lots of hours reading, preparing, rehearsing, and on the 23rd of July, Saturday the 23rd at 7:30, you're going to put this on one night. What's the pressure of that?
I've talked about this before too. Not that you don't try to give your best every time, but live theater is live theater and it's not always going to go the way you want it. So when there are multiple nights and one person's kind of off or you're kind of off, you drop a line, a prop goes missing, your costume does something silly, you're like, chalk it up to whatever. I've got 5 more of these. I can just, I better next time. So there's this pressure of this is one time. I do not want to drop any lines. I do not want to have anything go wrong because I can't do that. I can't say, well, I've got another one. The next one will be better. So I want people to get the full experience. the way I'm intending it to, and not having things go horrifically wrong.
This is part of Storytellers Anonymous. The play, again, is My Name is Rachel Corrie. Macie Lynn is Rachel Corrie, and it's from her writings, edited by Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
When I heard that, I was like, wow.
Of all people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Never thought of it. So that's interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
Could you feel some of those things in where the script went, maybe versus what would have been just a pure, biography written by somebody? Could you tell that it had, a more of a theater aspect toward it?
Well, so there's some notes in the back of the script that kind of talk about the two of them. So Catherine Viner, I think, also has a note in the back, and they kind of talk about like curating which pieces, and it's that same kind of, we want to humanize her. She was all sorts of things. We don't want just her activism to be the piece. We don't want just her being a college girl to be the piece. We want to give you a reason to connect with her, and then see that this is just her experience with this and her responses to it. And Alan Rickman does say, luckily, her writing was so just already theatrical. Like, it was just ripe for being orated. And I think he says if Rachel had lived, she would have had plays and novels just pouring out of her. So she had a certain zeal to her writing that lends itself really well to theater.
Awesome. Looking forward to it as much as I looked forward to the last two from Storytellers Anonymous. And it will be at the Corson Theater. And so what you can do, you can still go to mightycorson.com, but put /storytellers, and you can get your tickets. They're only $15. Again, Saturday, July 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Now, remember when I saw you on the 4th of July?
Mm-hmm.
I kept saying, oh, dang it, I can't go because I'm in something on the 23rd.
Yeah.
I misspoke. What I'm in is on the 30th.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Yes.
We already have the tickets.
Thank goodness.
Yes. So we're ready to come watch that.
Yay.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about you in terms of the acting and so forth.
Yeah.
So what got you into it?
Oh, gosh. I guess I've apparently, according to my family, I've always been a dramatic child. Was always
a natural ham and so forth.
Oh yeah. Like home videos, just me.
Does that mean you're a
TikTok
now?
No, goodness,
okay.
No, I don't have. I can't pull that off. I'm too old. But
I'm 59 and I just got one.
Well, hey, oh my gosh!
But for the show, for the Dave Holly Hour show podcast.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have the access to it in like elementary school, and I didn't keep up with it until 8th grade. I remember I went to Whittier Middle School.
Okay.
And I don't even know if it's still a thing, Owl TV.
Oh, I don't believe so. I recall it.
Okay,
yes.
so
Yep.
it was like they would have the 8th grade band concert, and so it happened to be on TV, and they were showing the 7th grade musical DuckTales and Bobby Sox, and I remember watching it and going, I want to do that so badly. And I've either wanted to be like a pop star or an actor since I was like 10 or 11. So
can you sing?
No.
Can you dance?
No, that's the problem. That's why it shifted to actor. That's why. But what ended up happening is because it was a musical, I was nervous about it. And she's my absolute favorite teacher, Jean Telestis, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. I remember asking her, because she was actually directing the show, and they were talking about auditions coming up for the next one, which was Groovy, is that was what that one was called. And I kind of said to her, if I don't sing. Like, I don't, can I still audition? Like, is there even a chance for me? And she was like, there's no reason you can't try.
Perfect.
There's no reason you can't try. And I was like, you're right. I'm going to do it. I ended up getting the antagonist of the show, who was a crotchety old woman who did not like music in general at all. The only main part, the only principal role that did not have a solo. So that makes sense. But I remember she had said, she's like, when we listened to you read in auditions, we knew we couldn't not use that.
Yeah.
And so from there, I ended up auditioning for DAPA for Plays of Living. This was before they partnered with the Washington Pavilion. So I got to work with the wonderful Sarah Crosby as a teenager.
I actually, in the early years of DAPA, I was one of the directors for a year.
Really?
Yeah, on the Plays for Life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that through.
And you're right. Sarah Crosby is wonderful.
Oh, I love her so much. And she's been super, I think, influential on my trajectory, and I not bitter about it or anything, but I auditioned for 9 plays in high school and I got into 4 of them. So I didn't do as much in high school as I wanted to.
Well, see, I'm a baseball fan. 4 out of 9, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I ended up graduated high school, did like 1 student lab thing in college, and then I transferred to the University of Minnesota, where unless you are getting a theater degree or an acting degree, you're not getting in those shows. So I essentially took a 7-year hiatus from theater. So from 2011 to 2018, I didn't do anything. And I thought it was just done. I thought I was done. And then I happened to see auditions for Peter and the Starcatcher at the community theater. And I went, I'm just going to do it just to be proud of myself that I got out and did something. Whether I get in or not, it's fine. And I got in. And now I've just been bebopping around all over the place. Ended up touring with with Steel Magnolias the year after that, which was a really cool thing to do. And I've met some incredible ladies, all of the Magnolia ladies. We still have a group chat that is very active.
Lisa Connor told me that.
Yeah.
She says, yeah, we keep it going. We talk every day.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Yes. I love those ladies. And then I've done a couple of projects with Monstrous Little Theater Company. And then this last year, I was in the whole season at Corson. They kept letting me back in, so I was gonna keep coming back. So that was this has been my first round with Corson, and I think it's going pretty well. I know. Yeah. Sorry, stage mom is like it's like gesturing at me.
Stage mom.
Yeah.
Brian Schiffer.
Yeah. I am just really thankful how active the theater community is. There are so many avenues to go down, and so many opportunities. And I am so happy that I was able to resurrect this part of my life, because it was something that it's one of those things where I'm only confident in like so many things that I can do.
This is the one.
And theater is like one of the things. And I'm like, I think I'm okay at that. And it's fun to me. And storytelling is fun. And making people laugh and cry is fun. Making people emote is fun. So it's filled my bucket since I got back into it.
Awesome. Well, we've come to our time to end this, but I always like to ask a couple of questions at the end.
Oh, boy.
Sometimes question number 1 takes care of question number 2, so we'll start there. When you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Ooh. So even that's not even like going to other shows? I do.
Of course it can be.
I do like to go to the other shows, and I have a lot of friends in all the theater areas, so I like to go support them. Otherwise, I'm a big old D&D nerd. So
Are you in Brian's group?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I am. Yeah. So Dungeons and Dragons, also a really great outlet for actors being able to kind of put on a character. That's kind of it. I like to say that I like to write, but it's been a while.
Yeah. What about other hobbies then?
Shoot. I took up cross-stitching last year.
Oh my. And what have we been cross-stitching then?
I cross-stitched a peacock that I don't know what to do with.
Well, did you see what's behind me in the studio?
I did, the clock.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something, but it's so sparkly and pretty. But it's cross-stitching is one of those things where like that's what everybody's getting as gifts for the next like 10 years because it's all I'm able to, I want to do it, but it has to get out of here.
Yeah.
It has to get out of my house.
Have you done any podcast logos yet as cross-stitch?
Do you want me to?
I would love it.
Oh my gosh, I totally can. Oh, I absolutely would.
Excellent. Well, you're hired.
Yes.
All right. Again, my name is Rachel Corrie from the writings of Rachel Corrie, edited by Alan Rickman and Catherine Viner, Storytellers Anonymous production that's taking place at the Corson Theater Saturday, July 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $15. Go to mightycorson.com/storytellers. Get yourself hooked up and come enjoy an incredible young actor and watch what I'm sure is going to be the 3rd hit in a row for Storytellers Anonymous, based off of your enthusiasm, based off of what your directors have already told me about you. So I'm looking forward to it, Macie.
Looking forward to having you.
All right. And we'll be back to finish up and wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
I'm thinking of my grandpa Dave, but I just call him Dave.
Hey, thank you once again to the great actors. We had Macie Lynn on, and then earlier in the show, Ruthie Pottratz. Thank you both. Ladies, you're fantastic. You're incredibly talented. And speaking of Ruthie, thanks to The Source, because that's where we recorded her conversation. And then we recorded Ruthie's right here in the Dipsy Doodle Production Studios. Thanks as well to all of you. Boy, the numbers just keep on increasing, and it's fun to watch. Am I a huge national hit? Nah. Am I a big state hit? Nah. Am I a local hit? Yeah. Well, anyway, it's fun to do. That's why I'm here, because my passion is talking to other people about their passions in the arts and entertainment world. Tonight, we're going to find out how well some of them did at the Sioux Falls Stage Awards. Tomorrow night, we're going to go catch Dual Purpose. The Dueling Pianos are going to be out at the Blue Haven Barn. And then Saturday night, we'll head over to Corson for the 40th anniversary of the Mighty Corson Arts Players. You know what Arts South Dakota says? They say, home is where the art is. Me, I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffett Entertainment. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHollyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.